Hey all, Pie here, and we are back in our life beginnings and always. And I'm just gonna say from the top here, it's probably gonna end up being a little bit of a shorter one, just because I have so much more going on in my life now that I wasn't quite expecting to have to deal with. Like, if you want to keep up to date with all of my drama from work, I do post that on Twitter semi-regularly when I have time, but I am squeezing this recording session in between living and sleeping, and I don't even know right now exactly when I'm going to get around to editing this, because it's just a mess. But we are going to try to get through this. So, I do not fully remember what all was going on last time, because it has been a while. I think we were heading off to lunch with Cove and his mom, because he needs help. The poor boy. Your parents waved goodbye to the three of you as you backed up onto the street. There was the sound of the front door closing behind you. I'm pretty positive I saw some restaurants when I was in the taxi, not too far from here. Yeah, it's a tourist town, isn't it? There's a lot of them around. Cove is enthused. It was kind of strange to see Cove give someone this much attitude. If he wasn't in the mood to be nice, he generally just kept to himself. Don't sass your mother. Kira put her hands on her hips and smiled at her son. You sound like the area expert. Do you have any recommendations for a nearby place? Or for a place nearby? I just swapped those words. Not really. Kira pouted at him a little and turned to you instead. How about you, Joy? Want to point me in the right direction? I, in real life, am a deep appreciator of food. Even now that most of it doesn't like me as much as I like it. So I'm gonna go with that. I probably should have read that out loud, because that's what I've been doing up to this point, but I'm all kind of... Sorry guys, it's been a week. It's been a week. You'd been to a lot of places in town, and there were a couple that stood out from all the rest. There's a Chinese restaurant that me and my family go to all the time. It's my mom's favorite. There's also a tropical-themed place that tries to be sort of fancy. Both sound like a treat. I'll leave it to you to pick for us, since Cove is going through a phase over there. Brutal. He huffed at her and turned his face away. The terrible teens. Personally, I am a fan of Chinese food, but I'm also a fan of everybody being happy. So I'm gonna kinda gently nudge Cove and just be like, boy, what will make you happy? You insisted Cove contribute to the decision. You can go through whatever phase you want, but you've still gotta say which restaurant you want to eat at, Cove. That came out a lot harsher than I thought it was going to. He mumbled sulkily, willing to reject his mom, but not you. Aww. I like the tropical place more. Aww. That's what I would have gone for, too. With 2 votes in favor of one restaurant, it seemed it was settled. We can go there.
Thank you.
I am the best. Will you show us the way? You nodded, taking the lead of your little group as Cove and his mom followed behind you. Together, the 3 of you left the neighborhood behind. The walk was about 15 minutes, and along the way, Kyra asked a lot of questions about the area. Cove was quiet most of the time, so you ended up answering her instead. Kyra explained that she lived in a large city, and she loved how peaceful and relaxing everything seemed in Sunset Bird. The restaurant was busy as usual, but luckily you were shown right to a small table. Kyra lowered herself into the chair while Cove picked the one diagonal to her, not facing her or to her side. It was awkward. Ahem. Let's see. To start, what would you all like to drink? I'll get an orange soda.
Noted.
Joy? Where's my sweet tea? This place don't have sweet tea. It's trash. Absolute trash. Fun fact, for those who didn't know, it is actually illegal in Georgia for a restaurant to not serve sweet tea. Little factoid for y'all to let you know just how serious us Georgians are about our tea. Not that I live there anymore, but you know, I grew up there. But failing tea, I will just go for water. Lemon or anything? There's sugar on the table. No, you weirdo. The fuck? Sure. Why would you put lemon and sugar into a cold glass of water? Like, I get if you want to add lemon to it. Some people like flavored water, that's fine. But don't ever add sugar to a liquid that is cold or room temperature. It ain't gonna mix in. Don't do it. Don't do that shit. I'm getting very passionate about this. I was not expecting drinks to be this engaging. Oops. That was a mistake. Kyra placed the order for your drinks, getting a black hot coffee for herself, and it didn't take long before they were brought to the table and set in front of you. You took a long sip of your drink as you looked around the restaurant. Your small group checked over the menus, deciding what to order. The last time you came here, the dish you ordered was amazing. You wanted to order something different this time. Oh, that's not me at all. I find the one thing I like and I order that for the rest of time. Kyra and Cove didn't need any encouragement for this. They were totally focused on the information in front of them. Soon the meals, too, were ordered and the menus taken away. You glanced at the table service, waiting to figure out what to say. Cove sunk back further into his seat and avoided eye contact. He started to twiddle his thumbs while acting like all this was perfectly normal. His sour feelings today were quite unignorable. Instead of asking more open questions, he'd brush off. Kyra had mercy on her son and instead put her focus towards you. So, Joy, what's a few things that you're into? There's gotta be something to do for fun, especially now that you're not buried in school assignments. Oh, I have options. I like this last one. Most accurate to how I spent my summer? Well, summers? It's a combination of writing things, gaming, and binging Stargate SG-1. I was that nerd. So... games are fun. I like to play video games. I don't know much about them. Maybe you can show me sometime. Board games? That's great. We should all play a game together sometime. Not as big into card games. Like, I'll play card games, but they're not really my thing. Unless it's Uno. Uno counts. Card games. Uno is the best version of a card game. I like card games too. Maybe we can all play together sometime. And? Oh, I can choose multiple things. I like to watch. TV. It's pretty addicting when you find a good series, isn't it? Yep. Movies? Kira nodded her head, and you guessed she must like that too. Plays. It's very interesting. People. Oh, people watching is quite the unique hobby. Me and my brother used to tag team people watch, because kid would go everywhere with sunglasses, so he could get away with staring at people. And he would just, like, tell me what they were doing while I was surreptitiously just, like, not looking at anyone in particular. Good times. I don't usually go for stand-up comedy. And, write things. A fellow writer. Writing is a great form of expression, don't you think? Kyra sighed wishfully, her eyes going soft. I like to read. Ooh, mostly fictional novels and manga, honestly. Me too. Nothing beats curling up with a good book. And manga. I haven't heard of that style, but I'm sure it's very good. And? I want to, but I don't think I'm quite that open. And I'm not about to destroy poor Cove like this in front of his mother. He will die. Die from the embarrassment. So, we're not gonna say that. Thanks, I'm happy to learn more about you. There's so much I hadn't heard. Cove leaves the details out. So what exactly did Cove say about me? Kyra laughed, holding a hand in front of her mouth. I can't tell you that. I didn't come all this way to embarrass my son. Too much. Kids are delicate at this age. Uh-huh. She laughed again, and you glanced at Cove to see his reaction. He was trying not to pay attention, but you could tell he was uncomfortable. Aw, baby. Hoping it would clear some of the tension in the air, you decided to ask Kyra a few questions of your own. Cove hadn't told you much about her, and you were curious to know more about this woman who was such a big part of his life. What exactly do you do for work? I'm a travel writer for magazines and things. I keep people in the loop on what's worth seeing. It's good work. You know, that's one of those jobs where you kind of have to have money in order to get into it, because you have to be able to travel. I thought about it at one point in time, but then I'm like, wait, I'm already poor. This doesn't work. Wow. I want to know the answer to this question, but I'm not going to ask it. What do you like to do? Spend time with my little boy, of course. And traveling. A real shock, huh? Where do you live normally? Nevada. Have you ever been there? You shook your head. It's a beautiful place. Check it out if you can. I really want to know the answer to both of these, but I don't feel comfortable asking this. Like, personally, if I were put in this situation where I was with an SO's estranged parent who, or well, an SO's parent who is divorced from their other parent, I wouldn't feel comfortable prying into their private life like this. So I'm just not gonna ask any more questions. It didn't seem to bother her that the conversation dropped off. Cove sipped his soda angrily, slurping at the remaining drink with furrowed brows. Why is he cute when he's... That's adorable. He looked ready to run straight out of the restaurant. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm a terrible person, but it just... It warms my heart seeing people suffer. You weren't sure if coming along had ended up making the lunch better or worse. You give him a sympathetic look. Cove eventually noticed you watching him, and you gave him a look to let him know you were there for him. It took a couple of moments, but finally he cracked a smile, and that made you feel a little lighter inside. Aww. You two seem really cute together. Mom, why? Cove covered his face with his hands and leaned back in his seat. Aw.
Seriously?
Why would you say that? Okay, the me of today would be like, yes, we are cute, thank you. But the me of 13 years would be a little turtle and turn completely red all over. So, you blushed. Were the two of you really cute together? Your meals were delivered shortly after that, and everything was so delicious. Even Cove enjoyed his food.
Okay.
Alright, now that we're all full and content, can you explain, please, why you've had a bug up your butt all day? That is quite the expression. I need to use that one. Cove's face scrunched at that. Seriously, baby, what did Mom do to make you this mad? I haven't even been around a full day yet. He gripped the edge of the table, refusing to make eye contact. The words he spoke were barely audible over the din of the restaurant. You could have told me. She leaned forward to not miss anything else, eyebrows raised. Told you what? He finally seemed to find his voice and spoke the thoughts that had been on his mind. That I wasn't going to visit you this year, that you were going to be coming instead. Didn't you invited me? You wanted me here with you. Cove's eyes began to shake, his frustration ebbed. I do want you to be around, but I didn't know it'd be like this. It's not the same, and nobody said anything.
I see.
Her expression grew tense. She threaded her fingers together and placed your hands in front of her on the table. We've both been gifted another Clifford surprise. What does that mean? Referring to that as a Clifford surprise almost caused you and Cove to crack a smile. What does that mean? Am I out of the loop? Is this an expression I should know? Somebody, if anybody understands that, please leave a comment explaining. I have no idea what that means. You also had no idea his name wasn't just Oh! Backspace on that comment, I got it. Over 5 years, nobody had ever called him Clifford until now. She smouthed... I'm sorry. Let's try that again. She smoothed her hair out, not letting go of her stern look. The more things change, the more they stay the same. They let out identical sighs, but smiled weakly at one another afterwards.
I'm sorry.
I can go home, Cove. We can still set up a normal trip to my place before the summer ends. Cove's lips tightly closed together. He seriously pondered the option.
I mean...
I think I do want you to stay. I miss it when you're not here. My heart... She reached across the gap, grabbed his face, and planted a kiss on his cheek. Cove tried to wiggle away. Mom, stop! Poor boy. I'm sorry. Sweet young men need to be smooched by their parents. If I don't, they'll take away my mom license. That's the kind of parent I want to be. Kyra was completely enthused by Cove's admission, though a tone of seriousness did return to her voice when the conversation continued. Do you want to talk to your dad too?
No.
Oh, okay, that was strong. Cove had snapped the word instantly, but reeled his annoyance back in just as quickly. Maybe later, not today.
It's alright.
I understand. We can shelve it. Thanks, Mom. Aww. Thank you for talking to me, little mister. She grinned affectionately at him before turning your way. And thank you, Joy. Huh? What did I do? I'm just sitting here enjoying my free meal. Just like, what? It's easy to act like a baby with your mom. It's harder to keep that up with your neighbor watching everything. Fair. Especially when you really care about what said neighbor thinks of you. She winked. Mom! Poor Cove. She just ruffled his hair with a laugh, then moved her hand down to tap the end of his nose. And that was how the issue was resolved, at least between Cove and his mom. Nice. When the three of you left the restaurant and Kyra had paid the bill, you walked back to your neighborhood slowly. You had eaten so much by that time, you were beginning to feel sleepy. It didn't help that lunch had happened late and the sun was already beginning to descend from the sky. How freaking long were we in that restaurant? But eventually you reached your street. Someone was there to greet your group upon arrival. I am struggling to read. Welcome back, family, and Joy too. I am extended family. Cliff. Oof. Dad. Oof. The two walked past him into the condo without sparing another word. Despite the summer heat, their shoulders were cold. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. Yes, your buns are in trouble. He rubbed the back of his neck with a crooked smile, but his eyes were soft as he looked on after them. He's so much like his mom, don't you think? You gave a vague nod, not sure what he was expecting you to do. He nodded back far more energetically. Okay, have a nice night, Joy. You too, Mr. Holden. With that, Cove's dad disappeared to join the others inside. It was your turn to go home now. Summer hadn't started off at all how you imagine it would have, though it turned out to set the tone well. Having Kyra in the neighborhood was a new experience for not only you and Cove, but also both of your families, and a dull moment was rarely had. Cool! We made it to the moments! Woo! Yeah, and I am so happy at this point that I did actually cut where I did. I wish I had cut it a little bit sooner, because... yeah. Yeah. Anyway. I figure we could probably squeeze in at least one moment before the end of this. I should have time for that, I think. I hope. I pray. The family shopping trip had lasted most of the morning, and you still had to unload everything from the trunk before you could go enjoy the afternoon. You cradled another bag in your arms as you headed towards your house. It was one of the heavier bags from the grocery store, loaded with fresh apples, ripe tomatoes, a bunch of carrots, and even half a watermelon. That's a nice haul. Not gonna lie. Ma came out the front door and paused just ahead of you.
It's no trouble.
Need any help with that, Joy? I can bring it the rest of the way if you want me to. No, I've got it. You were doing fine. Even if it was large, it wasn't really any problem for you. Ma gave you an encouraging grin and rustled her fingers through your red hair. Aw. You set the next bag on the counter. Your older sister began to root around inside for the contents with a sigh. How much is left? Still a few more bags. With a huff and a puff, Elizabeth continued putting away the groceries, and you retreated out of the kitchen before you could become the target of her bad mood.
Be careful.
Why so sour? Like, seriously. Careful, Joy. Mom hadn't been looking where you were... you hadn't been looking where you were going and bumped right into Mom, almost stepping on her toes to boot. Oops. Sorry! I can give you a pass this time, but be sure to watch where you're going. If you run into the wrong person, you might get your license revoked. I can't drive, Mom. She grinned at that bad joke as you continued through the door. Outside, Ma has started organizing what remained and putting back any loose objects that had fallen out during the trip. Because there's always loose objects that fall out during the trip. Always. When you stepped up to the trunk beside her, she took in a big breath of air, her dress gently swaying around in the breeze.
That's a shame.
It's a shame we had to spend the morning cooped up in that shopping center. It's a beautiful day, don't you think? You tilted her head to the sky, gazing at the clear blue expanse. Days like today are my favorite. Ma smiled at you, her amber eyes glinting with affection. You and your sister are a lot alike in that way, and me too. You gave her a familiar look, but eventually you turned back to help her with the last of the bags. Oh, hi, Cove. Cove has entered the arena. You notice Mom wave over at Cove, who had just exited his front door, his surfboard propped up under one arm. Let me see. Surfboard and wetsuit. Where might you be off to this beautiful day? I give you one guess. Cove instantly startled, not having realized your family was out here. Even though your mom was the one who called out, you were the one he looked at. Of course. He tried to settle down again. Aww. He jogged across the pavement to properly say hello to you and your parents. It was decidedly awkward since Cove had trouble figuring out how close to stand to you. The addition of his unwieldy surfboard made the whole thing seem even clumsier. That's... Ah! Careful with that thing. You'll put someone's eye out. Mom chuckled and got a whispered reproach from Ma for it. Pam, please, go easy on him. Don't tease the poor boy. Don't tease him too much. He's doing his best. Cove winced. Oh, baby, no. Oh. Sorry, Mrs. Jones. Don't mind her, honey. It's a beautiful day for surfing. I haven't been out on the waves in a long time. I'm jealous. Yeah, I'm hoping to get a few good waves before it gets dark. Hi, Cove. He had relaxed a lot when Ma spoke to him, but the rigidity came back as soon as you said something.
Hey.
Hi, Joy. Pretty. All I can imagine is the ending scene from Inside Out where the boy, like, it goes inside the boy's head and it's just like girl, 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 and they're all just running around screaming. Cove managed to grin, and it almost felt like you had butterflies in your stomach. Do you want to come hang out there later? Yes. You notice the flush of red on his cheeks, but that might have just been from the heat. I don't think so. Sure, I'll meet you there when we're done. Cool. Ease that date. The fuck? Oh, apologies. The closet shifted unexpectedly, and I don't know how else to explain it. When he spoke again, he tried to contain some of the excitement that was clearly ready to burst. It'll be fun. You're not done unloading, right? Can I help? Yes.
No.
This is our job. You go enjoy the beach. Joy can catch up as soon as they are finished here. Alright, I'll see you. Yeah, bye for now. Cove headed down to the beach with more skip in his step than normal. He's so happy. It's adorable. It was really cute. Yes. Fucking adorable. You smiled softly to yourself at the thought that you'd be joining him soon. He sure seemed to perk up after you agreed to meet him there. I wonder what that could be. Ma! Now who's giving him a hard time, Lainey?
Josh.
It's different. It's different when I do it. Mom's face broke into an incredulous grin. In what way? I'm being supportive, and he can't hear it. Mom full-on laughed that time. You're the worst of us when it comes to this, honestly. I keep trying to warn people, but they won't listen. I only want to help. I think it's fair to say he might need it. Yeah. Cove's adorable, but he's a bit of a disaster, and that's also adorable. Meddler, but you have a point. Right? You narrowed your eyes at their teasing, and they simply chuckled conspiratorially before taking more bags from the trunk and heading inside. Once everything had finally been taken in and put away, you got yourself ready to meet Cove at the beach. I feel like had I grown up on the beach, I probably eventually would have picked up surfing. So I'm just gonna say you had a surfboard in your room that you wanted to take with you. You'd been practicing your surfing more lately. It was always ready to go. After grabbing your board and getting everything ready, you headed down to the beach.
Have fun.
Have fun, honey. Stay safe. Good moms. When you arrived at the shore, you were greeted by the crash of waves and the soft calls of seagulls. You took in a lungful of the ocean air and felt your tan skin warm in the sun. You noticed a small set up nearby with a towel, some sunscreen, and a bottle of water. Yes, stay hydrated. Even when you're swimming, hydration is key. It must be Cove's. You spotted Cove himself nearby. He hadn't gone out to sea yet. He was just sitting in the sand at the water's edge, his board propped up beside him. You ran up beside him. Hey, are you waiting for someone?
Joy.
Yes. He looked up at you with a smile and quickly hopped to his feet. I was wondering if you were still coming. I wouldn't have missed it. He chuckled shyly at your insistence. Okay. Then he cast his eyes out towards the waves. I'm ready to get in there. Me too. Let's go. You tucked your board under your arm and nodded at him, and the two of you ran into the water together. You paddled out into the sea to where the good waves were. The water was cool against your skin.
Nice.
That right there, that's a money shot. Not too calm, but nothing crazy. Looks perfect today. He smiled at you, and you couldn't help but smile back. You felt totally content. Until Cove kicked the water a little too hard, and it inadvertently splashed you. Hey! Sorry! The apology did not come across as especially repentant, as he was practically laughing when he said it. You splashed him back. You gotta retaliate. You laughed but waited for an opening for revenge. The second he looked away, you kicked back, spraying him. It quickly devolved into a splash war. You had no idea who was winning at the point when the ocean decided to throw its weight around and douse you both with a tall wave. The ocean won. Cove laughed, his smile infectious. You couldn't help but join in. Draw? Yeah. You nodded at one another from your boards, bringing the war to a peaceful end. Cove pointed out into the distance. You followed his finger to see some nice-looking waves. Hey, let's get going. You agreed. No doubt there was room for you to do something good. You were ready to have some fun. You started taking on waves. Cove tried out a few tricks, and you got into the rhythm of finding just the right waves. Have you ever thought of what the fish and other ocean animals think we're doing here? Have you?
Not really.
Why'd you bring it up, boy? Okay. It seemed like that was all he was going to say on the topic. He started to turn away to paddle to the next wave when he spoke again. Oh, that's weird. Cove reached into the water and pulled out something small and brown. Was it a tiny stick? A clothespin? Cove looked at it with disbelief. He blinked slowly, then he raised the clothespin with a mischievous look in his eyes. No, what are you doing? I guess it's needed. How else would dolphins hang up their flippers? They gotta be stored somehow. Boo! Two can play at this game. That was terrible on any scale. He giggled shyly and kicked the water lightly in the water. You played around for the rest of the afternoon and kept chatting in between the waves. You thought about how you had surfed today. You did pretty good. You're definitely improving. A while ago, you never would have been able to ride some of today's waves. You're really learning. If you kept this up, who knew how good you'd be at the end of summer? Cove gave you a lot of encouragement about your performance. What an afternoon. The setting sun was visible on the horizon. Every time you would look away, it had sunk a little lower. The beach was darkening, but still pleasantly warm. You knew you should get out of the water before it was completely dark in the sea. You rode one last wave to get back to the beach. There, you picked up your surfboard and gave it a quick once-over. Cove followed behind you to the shore. He put his board with his other things and grabbed his towel to start drying off. As he ruffled his hair with the towel, you watched the sun set together. The colors were beautiful in the distance, and the shadows around you deepened. There was no need for words between you two, as you both enjoyed the sight for a moment. Cove broke the silence. The waves were good today, I think. Yeah, totally. He nodded mildly. You've gotten so good. You couldn't help but smile at the praise. It meant a lot coming from him. You chatted a little more until the conversation truly died out and all you heard was the rhythmic sounds of waves. Then Cove sighed. The day can't be over, not yet. He scowled into the distance as if the sun exiting the sky was a personal sense. Get the fuck back up there! Sorry. Don't you think it should be longer? Yes. Yes. Without qualification. I wish there were more hours in the day so I could get more shit done. Yes. Cove stood up straight in defiance of the approaching darkness. I'm not gonna go home yet. I want to go somewhere. I don't know. Cove was dripping in salt water, so you weren't sure what the alternative was. Wetsuits were fine for the beach, and not much else. It wasn't a good idea for him to lug his surfboard around town, either. This first option, though. Yeah, I want to do something too. Cove nodded with a smile. Then he looked down at the shore with wide, shining eyes. There's at least one place that's always okay to hang out in, no matter what time it is. The park. You nodded. The park was virtually always empty. Even Elizabeth only went over there nowadays if she was looking for you. Oh, excuse me. How times have changed. She used to be so protective of the place. In fact, the only person there was... In fact, the only person there was a chance of running into might be that Jeremy kid again. Oh, that brat. He brought the idea up to Cove and he cringed, but I'm still going. The sun is still there, a little. I'm staying out as long as it is. You tagged along. Strength in numbers. Okay, let's go. Cove took a minute to put his stuff in order. He made sure to get it all, though it didn't take much care to shake the sand off. You dealt with your own things. You stuffed everything together quickly. I'm done, Cove. He rolled his eyes with a bent smile at the announcement. As a final touch, Cove plucked his glasses off the beach and put them back on his face. He looked more like himself now. He led the way down the beach to the park. It wasn't far, so it didn't take you long at all. The sun still hadn't completely disappeared just yet when you made your arrival, and I'm sorry, I have to comment on the backgrounds. They're beautiful. Notice them. Moving on. Cove stuck his surfboard upright in the sand and tossed his towel over top. By now the two of you were mostly dry. The summer breeze on your skin kept you pleasantly warm. Cove idly went over to the monkey bars. He grabbed them, feet flat on the ground, and pretended to go across. He had definitely grown in the past few years. You had also outgrown the monkey bars. You were way too tall to play on them properly anymore. When he got to a bar in the middle, Cove pulled himself up and through, then sat on top of the bars. His legs dangled off the side of the bar as he perched on. You joined him on the monkey bars. You didn't even have to stretch to pull yourself up. Excuse me. It was a rather tall seat to clamber on, but it worked. Cove scooted over to give you more room to spread out. These monkey bars weren't made for two teens sitting on top of them. Guess what? He smiled broadly and raised an eyebrow. He's not here. Yes! Get that little shit. Right. It was true. There wasn't a single sign of Jeremy. Looks like it was just going to be the two of you tonight. Hee hee hee. Cove hung his head and groaned dramatically. Your eyes widened when he whipped his head back up.
No way.
I can't believe how dumb my parents are for forcing me to come to this stupid place. Whoa, Cove. Where the fuck is this coming from? You were taken aback and blinked for a second before you realized how he was quoting Jeremy. Oh, okay. Don't scare me like that. One Jeremy is enough. Cove chuckled back at you, a mischievous glint in his eye. You looked around. The old park, the streets you knew like the back of your hand, and the beach. These were your stomping grounds. You wondered how Cove actually felt. How much was his joke just a joke, and how much was sincere dislike of this place. Moving had never been his choice. Do you actually like this neighborhood? Do you really have to ask that, Joy? Cove kicked his legs carelessly as they dangled. He smiled softly. I like it here. I really do. It's a nice place. He didn't hesitate. There was no uncertainty. That was his genuine opinion. Well, of course. I'm here after all. Cove flushed and started kicking his legs wildly like he was running in place. Worth it. It didn't take long for the day to finally draw to a close. The sun was gone and it was dark. You chatted a while longer, but it was definitely winding down. I wish days were longer. I wish this day was longer. His feet kicked out. It made him look like a pouty child. Oh well. Cove sighed. It was time to go home. He hopped down from the monkey bars with a thump when his feet hit the ground. You clambered down the monkey bars yourself. You lowered yourself more slowly than Cove and barely made a sound when your feet reached the ground. Cove grabbed his surfboard and threw his towel around his neck. With his water bottle in hand, he was ready. You both began your trek up the road. It was a quiet night, and you didn't run into anyone else. In what felt like no time at all, you had reached your street. As you walked, Cove smiled to himself. It was a soft expression, and you couldn't help but wonder what put it there. Hey, don't keep all that thinking to yourself. I just remember when we were younger. It used to be such a big deal to come home after dark. You can indeed recall. If you got sandy, your parents would have something to say. If you got wet, your parents would have more to say. And if you came home after dark, well, your mom's and his dad better have said it was okay beforehand. Yeah, kiss your butts goodbye. You used to need permission for everything. That small comment he made exposed just how much freedom you really had this summer. Cove looked up into the sky, a smile still on his face as the two of you walked side by side, reminiscing. When you came to your houses, you turned to each other. Thanks for today, Joy. It was nice seeing you. Cove waved, and you both turned around to your respective houses. This was a pleasant end to the outing, you thought. Alright, and we are going to end it there. So, next time I will probably be able to tackle 2 or 3 more moments. We'll see. See how it goes. But, that is all I have time for today. So much other shit to do. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in 2 more weeks.